Welcome to the 121st episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense anime podcast. Today we are covering shows that aired during week 5 of the winter 2020 season. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to hear about, one or two shows, since we just spoil everything. My name is Kat, and I'm getting into designing mecha like the Eizouken girls. My robots are super giant in all the right places, and as real as you want them to be. My first prototype is named Mobile Suit. Goddamn! I do say that a lot. Also with me are Leo and Bcom.
Hey,
Yo.
how's it going? I'm Bcom.
Oh, I'm Leo.
That guy over there's Leo, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was Kat, and yeah, she really is building some fucking horrifying robots in her spare
Very
time.
sexy mecha robot. Ooh.
Yeah, they've been banned from most TV stations and libraries in the United States.
We
and
specialize in size. Is that what you're saying?
They just couldn't fit inside the door. That was really the main problem. But yeah, maybe like the average high school auditorium, though. They can get some gigs there, I hope.
Maybe.
Anyway, so since we're already talking nonsense, I might as well continue. Today, the recording of this podcast, Netflix's Formula One Drive to Survive Season 2 came out.
Nice.
So this Formula One Drive to Survive Season 1 came out and was covering like the 2018 Formula One racing season. And I watched that when it came out. And I was just super pulled into Formula One because not that I love racing that much or anything. I've never really been hugely into it. I play a lot of racing video games, but the characters that Netflix was sort of able to flesh out of all these drivers, and then also all of the owners of the teams and the team managers and stuff that run everything, the team presidents and everything. It's so much drama. It's like a soap opera. It's insane.
I wouldn't like it.
Well, you would. I don't know if you'd like it. I don't know. But there's so much pressure on these drivers because there's so much money in it. If you win the Formula One championship, your team gets $65 million or something like that.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. And it goes down from there, obviously. But yeah, so season 2 came out, and so one of the big things about season 1 that was just a little bit lacking is that the two best teams, Mercedes and Ferrari, were kind of not really a part of season 1 of this. And now they're super a part of it because the show brought in so many fans to the sport, and I'm assuming Netflix made a deal with them. And now, yeah, everybody's in it, and it's so good. I've watched the first 6 episodes, and there's so much focus on Mercedes. The next episode is going to be a big focus on Ferrari, and I'm really excited for that one. But yeah, the last Formula One season I watched some of because of the first Drive to Survive, and so it's interesting to see the story behind the scenes of some of the races I watched that were pretty insane just to watch. But now that you see these drivers' families and everything that they're going through and everything that the teams are trying to do with the cars behind the scenes, it's so cool. I highly, highly recommend it.
That's interesting. Is that kind of like a reality show-ish type thing then?
I mean, but it's actual reality though, is the thing. But it's it's sort of like a documentary, I would say, of the season.
Netflix has been doing a lot of weird, different reality TV things.
Yeah, for
recently.
sure.
I don't know why. I remember my friend was telling me about this weird dating show that Netflix is coming out, started coming out with, called Love is Blind.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it, yes.
I have
haven't
not watched it, but she was animatedly explaining to me. She's like, no, you can't even get engaged. You can't even see the person until you can engage to them. And you have to decide based on these dates where you're literally blind.
That's going to lead to some big divorces, so that's great.
Yeah. And then I guess they have to go meet each other's families after they get engaged, because they have to get married within a month or something to get the money. And then there's just a giant fiasco ensues. It sounds just the kind of train wreck that you want to watch.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of dating shows that are awful, Your Mom's House podcast, they always talk about love after lockup, which is these people date convicts.
Yeah.
And then when the convicts get out, they go and live with them, and it's just pure fucking chaos and fuckery. Yeah, you see that's a fucking disaster waiting to happen, right?
I just don't know, like, who is attracted to someone who's in jail, who's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna pick these people from my dating pool, the ones that can't run away.
Well, now you go check it out.
Like,
you can watch the show.
That has to be some sort of like psychological thing, right? They're like, these people can't run away. I'll always know where they are.
It's on Wii TV, whatever that is.
That's interesting. I'll have to look at that too. There's definitely
they
a lot
always
of people
talk about it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people who do that whole like jail dating thing.
Yeah. So this was some pretty funny news that I found. It was on Crunchyroll, but somebody picked up Interspecies Reviewers.
TV station.
Gifu Broadcasting System is who picked it up. So it's just humorous with like all the other broadcasting people who have dropped it, and then somebody's like, "Hey, I'll pick it up. It's drumming up interest."
Yeah, I mean, you should.
It's also funny in light of that the story that came out with the Australian politician that's pushing for like anime to be re-reviewed for child abuse content based on like Arrow Manga Sensei and a couple other shows. He made this big speech about Arrow Manga Sensei. It's fucking hilarious.
Especially with this week's episodes and the little mushroom children who are somehow adults.
Somebody should send him a link to Interspecies Reviewers, see what he thinks. That's a good show, too.
Oh my God.
I got one other piece. So at work, we have a plant in Wuhan, China.
Oh, boy.
And they're one of our big plants that we send. Everything that we send to China goes through Wuhan. So we've had problems with that and the coronavirus. But we've at work have been joking because they sent back thousands of bodies that that's what we call them, bodies. And
yeah, that got really dark for a second. I was like, bodies.
we were joking about it the other day.
This? That's why I paused, because I was like, we call them bodies, but they're not actually bodies. That's why I had that pause. Because I was like, this is going to be misinterpreted. No, it's just think of a chunk of metal with a plunger that goes, a ceramic plunger that goes on the inside. Well, they sent back a shit of them saying they were leaking. They're fucking bullshitters, because we send the exact same thing to Juarez in Mexico, and they don't complain once, so whatever. So they send them back, and we've been unpacking them all, and basically we have to unpack them all and rematch them with that plunger. So, of course, all week we're like, we're going to get the coronavirus, oh God. So if I do get it, that's probably why.
Oh God. Now I'm like, all right, note to self, don't go visit Leo. Stay far away. I don't know, like, I don't think it'll be as big of a deal as everyone is freaking out about. I think that people will get it and they'll get sick, and it'll be worse than the regular flu because, I mean, it has like a 1 to 2% death rate, right? Mm-hmm. And the normal flu has like what like 0.2 or 0.3% death rate. So it's a difference. But in the end, like, you know, it won't be, we all won't be dying. We'll just, you know, some people will get very sick. A few people will die and we'll all move on.
I hope so. I hope it's limited to that because, yeah, everybody seems to be freaking out these days, but we'll see.
I heard someone who used to work in the pandemic department at Obama, like when Obama was president, because Trump did away with that office, so it doesn't exist anymore.
What a smart move.
I know. Oddly timed. But anyway, he was saying he predicts that probably we won't start to see like big problems with it until fall. Because summer, it won't spread very much. And then it'll almost come back in the fall as it gets colder again. And it could be, that's when we actually start to see a lot of people coming down with it. It'll be interesting to see if that's what happens or not. So
interesting. All right. And prepare yourselves for fall, everybody.
Yeah, and what I did the last few days, I don't know, I went to a diner called Sugar and Spice. And it was amazing. It had
Was it everything nice?
I don't know. They give out ducks at the end of your meal. So for every person that eats there, they come around with this giant tub and they have rubber ducks in them. And you get to pick which rubber duck that you want to take home.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're saying you have a rubber ducky now?
I'm looking at one. I'm actually looking at two right now. Yes.
Can you squeeze it?
I
Did
don't
it make
think
a
it
noise?
makes a noise. I
Oh,
think it's
damn.
just. Hold on, let me see.
I don't hear anything.
No,
I don't hear
it doesn't.
nothing.
But I can take a picture of it. We
Doesn't
can put
make
it
the
up on
patented rubber ducky noise.
Yeah, I can take a picture of it though. We can put it up on the thing. I picked a like Pegasus one. Has like little wings.
That sounds good.
Huh.
But yeah, apparently people like go there and collect them. And they just go every time they
Yeah.
go, they get another one.
That would make sense.
Do they like serve duck at this place or no?
No, it's just a regular diner. It's like
Okay.
breakfast food.
Such a weird
The food was
thing. I don't
amazing.
know.
I don't know. The eggs were amazing. Like, you know when you go to some diners and the eggs are like, it's okay. And then you go others and it's like, it feels like the eggs are made of pure butter or something. Mm-hmm. And you're just eating them and you're like, yes. That's how it was. I was happy.
It can be tough to get eggs right, but yeah.
Oh,
Diners
yeah.
should be able to get that right. It's like the one thing they need to do for the most part.
Oh, I mean, they need to do very many things right.
Yeah, it's
They need
true.
to make
But
my
for, like,
toast
breakfast.
crispy. They need to make my bacon not limp. They need to do for a great many things. Let's just say.
Some people like limp bacon.
Do you are you saying you like limp bacon, Leo?
I kind of like it chewy, but it's still crunchy at the same time. It's a hard line to get on.
I can live with that. Oh,
Yeah, I prefer it to have like a tiny bit of flexibility, not to be completely crispy, basically. Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
the crispy fat. Like when you bite it, it's like. Ooh.
Oh yeah, that stuff's good for sure. Oh, you know what else is good? Chihayafuru season 3. Oh yeah.
All right,
really
so
good.
Your alarm
let's
clock
like put on our
for-
little eye masks for a second.
Yeah, set
Guys.
the alarm clock for about 6 minutes from now.
You guys are gonna make me cry because it's episode 17 and my sleeves are wet with dew.
Oh god.
Which is a metaphor for crying, by the way. Okay, so the Master and Queen matches begin. Chihaya admires Shinobu's hair buns because they match the style of Snowmaru's, like the mascot's new girlfriend, Snow Hime. Good for you, Snowmaru. You're moving up in the world. You found the snow woman of your dreams. I'm very proud of you. Also, just great marketing by the Snowmaru people. Like, they just keep putting out hits. The kimono, which Shinobu's grandmother chose for her, is like this beautiful flower pattern on black fabric, but it has really heavy sleeves, which is problematic because if you're trying to swipe your arms around and hit cards really accurately, heavy sleeves are not a great idea for that. So that's going to come into play. During memorization time, Chihaya goes outside and finds Suo in the hall, just like on the phone with like a family member or a friend, trying to explain to them how they can watch the match online on Nico Video because it's streaming instead of playing on TV. And Chihaya gets really annoyed at him. She doesn't say anything, but she kind of runs away and she's like, I hate that this guy doesn't take this shit seriously. Like, here's Dr. Harada trying to do his best to beat him, and he's out here like on the cell phone doing whatever. And she wishes that he would just lose and retire, but then she also like hates that she's having those kinds of mean thoughts, especially at Omijingu. So Arata is at home, just like in bed, sick, watching the stream, and he types out this like really long comment on his tablet that explains like that they have card boys and card girls for this match, basically, kind of like in the anime March Comes In Like a Lion, where they have that separate room where they have people with like big chess, or not chess, shogi pieces, like showing you what's happening in the match. So they're doing the same thing here. And like the stream is like, oh, thank you. Do you play Karata? And he's like, yeah. Chihaya imagines like who she might ask to be her card girl or card boy one day, and she's thinking about her club mates, and then she thinks about Taichi, but then she imagines that when she's going up against Shinobu for the Queen match, maybe Taichi will be playing Arata. And I was like, I wonder if this is going to be a prophecy of the future of the show. I don't know. It's very possible. So, the Eternal Queen, who won like 13 times in the past, is commentating on this match. And it's kind of funny, because she's like a huge airhead, kind of like Chihaya. Like, she didn't even know she won 13 times. She thought it was 12. And they just kind of comment that like all the queens of Karata seem to be weirdos in some way or the other. So Chihaya fits right into that mold. So she's got a good shot. And so, yeah, the matches play out with the queens, like, showing off their skills. Inokuma has the advantage with her hearing, Shinobu with her speed and accuracy, and it comes down to a luck at the draw in the match where they each have one card, which Shinobu's like, the cards love me, they'll never not choose me. And she's right, they choose her this time around. And so she wins the luck of the draw. The master match is weirder, because Suo is doing his usual asshole thing of trying to win by a certain number of cards. But this time he changes it up, and like during this match he decides to try to win by the exact same number of cards as Shinobu is going to win by in the other game, which is just like a total dick move. And like when people realize what he's doing, they get so mad at him. And it comes because he was trying to win by the same amount of cards, he got it down to a 1v1 as well. And because that's luck of the draw, Harada wins the luck of the draw, and he wins the first match. And so people are really pissed at Suo, but then you actually get his inner monologue where he says that, like, you know, he's supposed to retire after he wins this Masters match. And when he started thinking to himself that this was going to be the last time he ever played, he actually got a little bit upset, and he decided he wanted to try to draw the matches out as long as possible. So that was the real reason. He wasn't just being an ass like people suspected he was being. And so we get to look at how all the competitors are handling their downtime. They all eat some lunch. Harada passes out. Suo's on the phone trying to figure out premium streaming memberships, which is hilarious. Inokuma has Rion come visit her, and she's like breastfeeding her kid and like tells her to like watch her closely in the next match because this might be her last time as well. Like both of the older players are thinking like this might be it, which is interesting. And so Shinobu also is really excited because Inokuma plays in that strange way where she doesn't move any of her cards after they're taken. They just stay there. And Shinobu like is not used to that. And so she views this as a way to test how connected with the cards she is, basically. So she's very excited and like, yeah. Unfortunately, a couple of things happened that like wreck Shinobu's mood. First, her mom lets it slip that like the beautiful kimono with the long sleeves she got from her grandmother was not actually bought by her grandmother. It was an advertisement from like the Kyoto Textile Association. Her grandmother's a politician, and they're just like a constituent of hers. And so when she finds out her grandmother didn't like care enough to like actually buy it for her, it makes her sad, which you could say is like pretty bratty. But at the same time, like, I understand where she's coming from. She thought it was like a special gift. And then briefly, Chihaya comes in right at the end of the episode to like kind of cheer her up, and they start talking. They get happy again, but Chihaya lets it slip that she missed out on the qualifying tournament for this because she stayed to go on her class trip, which was like a big controversy at the time. And the decision to choose a school trip over Karata like infuriates Shinobu because she thought Chihaya was one of the only people in the world that still like really understood how she had to isolate herself to become the best at the game. And now that she sees that like Chihaya would just go on a school trip because she doesn't even know why Chihaya did it. Chihaya doesn't have time to explain. She just like gets up and leaves the room and slams the door to go back to the second match. So Shinobu is in a very bad mood heading into the second match of the Queen tournament. So good luck to her and her long sleeves that she needs to overcome. Yeah.
Overcome her long sleeve.
Yeah, that are wet with dew from her tears.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you're sure.
Absolutely, I am sure. I've read all the translations for these poems. So, yeah. Do you guys get anything out of watching this episode?
A couple of minutes of sleep.
Okay, that's good. Good for you. How about you, Kat?
Yeah, it's all right.
Mm-hmm. All right. Fantastic conversation as usual. Let's move on to the next episode.
We're like silent in protest. We're like, no.
I'm glad you enjoyed that, listeners.
You want us to like this show so much, but it just is not in either of our interests.
Yeah,
like, I don't think it's a bad show. It's just
I don't think it's a bad show.
Not interesting to me.
Yeah.
I think there's some stuff coming up in the next few episodes that might hook you a little bit more. So I'm excited about that. But we'll see. Moving on. Keep your hands off Eizouken. I got this one too. Episode 5. An iron giant appears. So, this episode starts off kind of ominously. Like, it's just really ominous tone. Midori discovers a robot and is like, she runs to tell Tsubame about it. And when they come back to this room where she found it, the robot is gone all of a sudden. And then before we can really see what's going on, Tsubame gets captured by someone and Midori like runs off. She eventually,
and it's Midori's fault she gets captured.
Yeah, I guess so. True. It's not that bad in the end, so it's just like somebody came by that room. She eventually finds the giant robot she's looking for, Midori does, and Kanamori is there suspiciously, and she's like,
Sayaka.
Yeah, Sayaka Kanamori, yeah. She's there in shadow, like secretly talking with some dude about whether it can take something out, this big robot. And like we see that there's other people there. And then eventually they fire a rocket from this robot and it hits Midori right in the stomach. And you think she's a goner, but it was just a water bottle rocket. And she's totally fine. The robot is actually something that has been continuously improved by the Robot Society Club at the school for like the last 100 years. That's kind of crazy that they've had a Robot Society Club since they say like the 1880s, I think. Like, what the fuck? That's like before you would even think about robots in the modern sense at all.
I guess people have always been imagining them, though. Like, that's kind of the thing that makes them interesting to people. Is like, what if we made human-shaped things, but they're not human?
Yeah, like automatons and like steampunky type things. Yeah, to start off with. Yeah,
it makes you think like it's not. That's why it's persisted so much, even after we know functionally there's not a lot of uses for robots, like they talk about later. I think it's just like an imagination thing. Like, we like the idea of making things that look like us, that are like bigger or smaller, or, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like we want to make things in our own image and pretend we're God.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah.
And then we want to have sex with them.
Oh, God. Now it just makes me think like, oh, just imagine like God reaching down from the sky and being like, and I'm going to have sex with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's what all the ancient Greek gods did. Like Zeus did that a bunch. So.
Well, but I don't think any like monotheistic gods did that.
Oh, no, they're very proper. Yeah, absolutely.
I guess like they did it once. They did it with like Mary or whatever, right?
Yeah, I guess
and then he was like, well, this wasn't a good idea. It didn't turn out well. Like, I guess I won't do it again.
As far as we know. Yeah. So, yeah, the Robot Society, they want the girls to make an anime about their robot. And I love the way, like, when they say this to them, like, Midori, like, shoves her face down into her shirt, so she kind of looks like a robot. And she's just so excited about making a robot anime. But Midori's kind of annoyed with Sayaka, because she only cares that they're going to get paid for the work. And Sayaka asks her, like, well, what's more ethical? To be paid money and guarantee a certain level of quality to your customer, or to work for free with no guarantee of quality? Which is a pretty good question to ask. Because, like, yeah, when you are paid for something, you are guaranteeing that service at, like, a certain level of quality. For which, like, if you don't provide that quality, you might not get that pay. So... yeah, I think that's a good argument to be made from like the business side of things.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, Midori decides that the old maintenance tunnels underneath the school would be a really good place to scout for a location for the anime. Unfortunately, it's really dark and scary, and she's like horrified. But the girls make her go in, and luckily she brings like light up sneakers and like an extra helmet flashlight in addition to her handheld flashlight.
They went down there. I was like, this is not going to be good.
I don't understand why this school has so many areas that are so fucking dangerous. What is wrong with the school?
I mean, like, it was built when the school was built a long time ago, I guess, to, like, better access the stuff underneath.
Roped off. Like, okay.
I mean, yeah,
Ball
they should.
State, the university I went to, had underground tunnels like this.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to have them open until some people doing, what's it called when is it LARP, live action role play?
Yeah.
So there was a group of kids, like I think they were freshmen, who like decided they were going to go LARPing in those like tunnels under the school, and they got lost for a week and a half. And they were stuck in there.
Serves them right.
What? How'd they survive for a week and a half?
I mean,
Cannibalism.
you won't die. No, I mean, you won't die, like, just a week. Like, I think they had some water and stuff. But anyway, they finally got them out. And they were like, all right, we can't have this again. And they, like, boarded them all up. Like, you think that most schools would be doing that by now. I mean...
I badly want to play a D&D session based on that concept of, like, you get caught underneath, like, a school when you were LARPing, and then you need to get out, like, with, like, oh, that would be so much fun.
Oh, could you imagine how embarrassing that was for them? Like, they never lived that down. You know, the entire time, like, they were at the school, everyone's like, oh, you were those people who were LARPing.
But
how
no,
lame.
then you also know there was one guy who was like, guys, we need to stay in character. So we can get through this. It'll help, trust me. Somebody's like strangling him. Like, what are you talking about?
It's like, we've been here for a week. Oh my god. But no,
man.
like so to me, I don't understand why everything in the school is so fucking dangerous, because they could get sued all to hell. Like,
Well, there was
whole
like a
tunnel
gate.
system.
There was a gate, at least, that they had to, like, kick down. So
It was not that
blocked
hard.
off. It wasn't that hard. You're right.
But okay, so like this tunnel system, totally unsafe. They fall through it at one point. Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
They-
Then like the
yeah.
clubhouse they were given. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's true. They're in a lot of shoddy places. It's true.
So like, is this like the ghetto school? Is that what we're learning? Like, they're
But it seems like a really rich school at the same time. It just seems they don't give a shit about, like, the animation club or, like, some other
Maybe.
things.
You're right though, because like, I mean, Tsubame's parents would not let her go to a ghetto school. They would.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's definitely like a school for rich people that just it's run by people.
Happens to be beat up all the shit.
Yeah, it doesn't give a shit about safety concerns whatsoever. So yeah, in those underground tunnels, they find this huge room, and it's kind of cool because they basically sort of they call it like frame-tasizing, or like they're fantasizing about like what they can draw or what action can take place in this room when like a big monster with like a pistol shrimp claw but like half lobster will fight their mecha robot and stuff. It's cool how they imagine all that playing out, like just by looking at the location and everything, taking pictures. But yeah, like Kat said, they go to leave the room and they fall through some like rotting wood into this place where they used to dump leaves. And they're like, oh no, the leaves are fermenting and they're letting off gas and we're all going to die if we don't get out of here. But luckily Midori is like a Girl Scout and she has a rope and a Swiss Army knife and a sock that she takes off and uses all three of those, puts them together to like basically build a pile of leaves and like climb out of the pit. So they're good.
They really did not give her enough credit, because when they came through, she was like, this feels unsteady. Let's walk on the edges. And they're like, don't be an idiot. And they like just walk through.
Yep, they like pushed her in. They're like, yeah, it was
I
pretty
know.
bad.
And then they do fall. And she's like, I can get us out of this with my magical skills. And they're like, oh, whatever. We're not going to acknowledge that you saved our ass.
They're just like typical Midori. We just see her in her natural element now, and they're like, you just saved your life, you idiots. So yeah, from earlier
They
in the
could have been
episode,
found weeks later.
They could have been, yeah. Rotting in piles of leaves.
Yeah.
Their own feces. Yeah, that would have been fun for them. So yeah, the Robot Society was already kind of fighting with them a little bit, like from that scene earlier in the episode where Midori and Tsubame kept pointing out things that were super unrealistic about the robot design they had. So with that in mind, Sayaka is like, all right, we're going to go talk to this robot club, but we're going to present them with some different options because they're going to want to like do what we don't want to do. But we're going to like game them, we're going to strategize them, we're going to push them towards the option that we actually want to make. Which is like, that must be the anime like industry behind the scenes, where you're like, we want to make this, but also we could make this. This is a good idea too, and you probably try to push the production company to like make the idea that you really want to work on. So that's interesting. But yeah, they, with Kanamori's luck, they just like walk in on one of the guys from the Robot Society who has drawn Down with the Video Society on a whiteboard, or Down with Eizouken, and is screaming about how super robots are great and all this shit, and they just have all the blackmail material they could possibly need. And so they just have to present their preferred plan. And so from there on, it just goes like the guy from the Robot Club who was talking about like how he loves super robots, all of a sudden starts saying he wants real robots because he's just like confused at this point and doesn't know how to fight back. And he's like, real robots that humans can ride in. And the girls are like a backhoe? And Midori starts feeling sorry for the guy because he just starts spouting off nonsense about real super robots, which is just a contradiction. And even his buddies are like, look, man, if you had a target that a tank couldn't destroy, you wouldn't make a humanoid walking robot. You'd just make a stronger tank. And Tsubame is like going to sink the knife in a little bit more by just saying like, oh, is that why robot anime have declined in popularity? So
just be like, let's just hit you where it hurts.
Yeah. And it's true that like mecha anime have kind of declined a lot. Like a lot of them are just at Studio Sunrise, where there are still a bunch of people who can draw those types of robot anime. It's just not as big as it was in the 90s, or the 80s for that matter. But while like mecha anime are super out of fashion, like Gunpla sales for Gundam are still enormous. Like don't get it twisted. Like Mecha and Gundam are still like huge franchises. It's just that not as many people are making those anime for them. But yeah, in the end, Midori and Tsubame bond with the robot fanatic guy because they both just want to see cool shit come to life. So they can agree on that. And so in the end, they end up working together and they like redesign the robot. And they come up with a design that's like practical, but also still really cool at the same time, which is kind of cool to see that trade-off as it happened.
Yeah, I really liked seeing the negotiation process and the whole distrust from the client and wanting like a good balance of getting the money, but then also creating something good, like from both sides, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's very realistic. It's what happens in real life. So
yeah, I like
those
show,
parts.
Yeah, I like how it's a microcosm of that all those interactions that you know must happen behind the scenes between the creative types and the, also like amongst creative types that have different ideas about what they want, and then between the creative types and the money people.
Yeah, I love Sayaka so much. She's like my spirit animal.
Yeah. She's great.
I'm like, yes, Sayaka, I understand. I don't understand why they picked a crab turtle. That was weird, and it just made me hungry. Because every time they'd be like, and then the crab turtle, and I'd be like, can I eat it, though? Like, will it taste like crab?
It probably would taste pretty good.
Ooh.
Especially, like, the robot's gonna, like, take its chainsaw and, like, cut it up. Like,
just crack it open and boil it. Just be like,
I was also thinking last thing about how Leo is annoyed by Sayaka's like teeth, and I kept trying to think of like what fucking cartoon am I thinking of? I still think there's like a cartoon with like a girl in it. I think like Helga Pataki from Hey Arnold is similar, but like the one that I just started like ended on was it's just her mouth just looks like Bender from Futurama.
Oh god.
It's just all teeth, and the teeth kind of wave a little bit when he talks.
Oh boy.
She kind of looks like Bender the robot.
So I looked up your story, Kat, about people being lost for a week and a half in Ball State tunnels, and that's a fucking myth.
Oh,
That's
really?
That never
Well, because
happened.
it's something like everyone talks about it, so I don't know. Like,
With the way they're laid out, like you couldn't get lost. If you no matter what direction you pick, you eventually come to another exit.
what? Why are you fucking laughing, Bcom?
I'm laughing because Leo just called you out on your bullshit
Well, I don't
immediately.
know.
It was great.
I'm like, just read it. I'm just telling you what people at Ball State always talk about.
No,
I
know. It's just funny that Leo was like so on the ball. Like he's like, I'm gonna like research this immediately.
Oh,
Like I live in the same state. I'm like, surely I would have heard about this. So like I had to look into it, and it's just a big fat myth.
That's pretty
Yeah,
funny.
well, there's a lot of that shit at colleges where they're like,
oh
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. I love those stories about colleges, though. They're kind of fun.
yeah, you're like, The one thing that isn't a myth about Ball State is that we have a statue that people rub its nose for good luck.
Oh, the frog statue?
Yeah.
Frog baby? Frog baby?
Yes. And people rubbed its nose so much that its nose got rubbed off. And they had to ship it back to France. And it cost quite a bit of money to give it a new nose. Got a nose job. And so now it's got like 4 cameras positioned at different angles. It's like, do not rub the frog baby's nose. You will be caught. You will be fined. And yet still, if someone has a really bad test, like a really difficult one, people will still do it. They'll be like, I don't care. The fine is worth it. So that is not a myth.
All right.
Yay! Let's talk about Id Invaded.
Sounds good.
Man, covering this show sucks.
Why?
Does it
What
really?
happened?
It's hard to put on paper.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kazuto runs off after kissing Koharu, and she goes back to the car to let Kokuru know that Kazuto is still alive, and that he also does have a hole in his head. So apparently he survived that. So of course they question Tomatsu, and they ask him about surviving it, and he just says it's just nonsense, cryptic hole stuff. You feel the wind blow through it. Is it good or not? What the fuck? I don't know. It didn't make any sense.
Like,
Yeah, it was just crazy talk. I was like, God
like,
damn.
I do this for fun. I think it's good.
If it doesn't feel cool, then something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine depending on where you drill a hole in your head, you could have very different effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, duh.
So, you know.
So Koharu begins to wonder why Kazuta. It's really hard not to say Kazuo when you say Kazuta.
Nice.
Why? And there is a Kazuo in the show. Why Kazuta was even at the scene? Her hypothesis is that he is the real gravedigger, and he was there checking out the copycat, and that the hole in his head has something to do with the reason why they can't ever find any particles at the crime scene. And then they really wonder why, if you're actually a killer and an officer stops you at a crime scene, what would you do? And obviously you would, try to get rid of them. But Kazuta kissed her instead. So what if some switches in his head got mixed around? What if kissing and the urge to kill got switched? Because he was also surprised when he kissed her too. He was like, what the fuck was that about?
Yeah, what if somebody got confused about eating something based on their natural instinct and having sex with it, and they were a wolf and they liked this little rabbit?
Oh, no.
That'd be so weird if they made a show out of that. That'd be so weird.
You made me think of American Pie when you said that, when he fucks the pie.
It's another case of brains just getting crossed.
And the thing is, this only implies the impulse stuff. So if he were to actually stop and think about murdering someone and in the process, he would be able to go to it. But in that moment, it was such an impulse thing that instead of just reaching and grabbing her neck and choking her, he kissed her instead. So that's the only reason it worked. And when they go back to the spot where Kazuta kissed Koharu, it proves her theory right when they find some of the particles. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That was pretty interesting scene. So they got the particles, so they have Saikaido drop into the Idwell, and he has to basically free fall onto a floating island, which pretty sure he should have died. He hit kind of hard.
Yeah, that was pretty far.
Yeah. When that started, I was like, wait, is he just gonna die every single time he jumps in here? Because they just have him in a free fall. I'm like, okay.
That would suck. It'd be like, well, we never were able to solve this serial killer's Idwell because it's just an endless stream of falling.
Yeah.
You can't survive.
On the island, I guess it's weightless. And he finds Kaoru floating slightly off the ground and blood pooled all around her. That seems odd to him, so he thinks the killer spread the blood that way in this environment to hide something underneath. And of course, underneath, he finds a person. And it's made up of multiple victims of Kazutas or something like that.
It's kind of bizarre how it is though, because it's almost like a house with 2 layers, where on top is this victim that's dead, and then if you just tilt your head and look under, then suddenly there's a second story, and there's a person under her, she's a bed or something. It's weird.
Well, the place is weightless.
Yeah, it's like
well, yeah.
So
it was weird how the blood looked because she's like floating in the air, right? Yeah, but like the blood is like almost like a velvet sheet around her, and I thought that was gonna be something, but it was just no. The killer spread the blood around it. It's weird. It's just
they
strange.
just gave it a weird texture. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's really all it is. But this does give them all the information they need to convict Kazuta as a gravedigger and send squads out to arrest him. Sakaido talks to the person and asks where the killer is. I'm just going to call it since it's like shifting between male and female and multiple people. It says they are probably out fighting the monster he is hiding me from, or some other person is. And Sakaido gets up and looks for a weapon. Instead, he finds a torn up photo, and the other investigators piece back the photo in hopes of leading to a clue to find him, or specifically somebody he might love in there.
Also, by the way, when he's talking to that the shifting being on the floor, I thought it was really interesting the audio that they did on the voice, because they had like female and male voice at the same time. They put like, I think it was the male voice in the left and right channels, and then like the female voice was coming through the center. It was just like this really cool sounding effect. I thought they did that really well.
So Sakaido climbs. So do you watch everything with headphones on?
I do, absolutely. Yeah.
So Sakaido climbs under the island and finds John Walker there, who we still know nothing about. He quickly makes an escape after killing the person that he was fighting or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Sakaido goes back to the person hiding, tells them it killed the boy. Then they ask Sakaido, will you protect me then? So that squad they sent out, they go to Kazuta's like place of residence. It's with his family, and apparently they have like a soy factory on their land. And so they go over there and they find a bunch of fermentation barrels with wires coming out of them. So your first thought is, oh, that's where they've been putting the people. There's cameras in there, so But then they knock on it, but it doesn't sound hollow. It's just a thud thud. It's like, okay, there's something inside. What is it? And they try to open the barrels, and they can't really get inside at all. So they order all the cables running to them to be cut. Turns out the barrels were filled with gasoline. And when the wires got cut, it was all a huge trap. It causes the lights to burst and sets everything on fire and just like starts killing the squad. And then I don't know if like they kind of singled out a guy, like he was one detective we knew, and I don't know which one he was, but like, apparently he just got murked too.
Mm-hmm.
So using that picture, they pick out a girl in there, and so Koharu and Kokuryu go to Miss Inami's house to question her about Kazuta. And Inami is being a little weird, and she's kind of dodging questions and just acting odd.
Yeah, for sure.
And then at one point, Koharu's head wound starts bleeding, and she's like, oh, let me get that for you. And she like dabs it and stuff. And like, if you watch, she just also discreetly just keeps the bloody tissue in her palm. Like in the next scene, you see that one hand bald with it in there.
She like looks at that blood on the tissue, and I'm like, for a long time, long enough where I was like, okay, what the fuck's going on with this girl?
Something's going on. And Koharu just keeps questioning her. And eventually it leads to, her like, what was your relationship with Kazuta when you were in middle school? And like, she just basically eventually figures out that Inami likes Kazuta a lot, but apparently he may not returned it in the process. I'm not entirely sure, but she also figured out that Inami likes wounds and watching people get killed because she noticed that she constantly keeps looking at her hole in her head.
I don't know. I felt like this was like a little bit of a stretch in a lot of ways. This whole scene. So like, First of all, if you have a giant hole in your head and it's leaking blood, I think most people are going to look at it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might even offer to help you with it. Like, maybe.
And I also didn't really understand how she got like, oh, she had this relationship with him when she was younger too. Like, oh, suddenly she's the killer. She's the one. Like, it just seemed like a lot of a stretch.
Yeah, so Koharu pulls a gun on Inami and tells Kokuryu that she is actually the gravedigger and that she's the one that murders, and Kazumi only did some of the murders for her. I'm a little confused until the next episode. Hopefully they explain a little bit what's going on here, because like the whole time Kazumi, they show him like hiding in a closet, basically. Also,
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense either, like, why he would suddenly be like, oh, sure, I'll murder people for you. Like, it seems like the plot is very loose. It doesn't really
I think
make
that's
sense.
the head wound. The head wound made him. What their relationship is doesn't quite add up entirely. We're like missing bits and pieces. So I'm hoping the next episode's going to like put the puzzle pieces together.
It'll either explain it to my satisfaction, or it'll mean that the plot has lots of holes in it, just like her fucking head, and that will be sad for me.
You know what else didn't add up for me? I don't know if they'd said it before this episode, but Hondo Machi is apparently 23 years old. And it's just like, okay, yeah, there's people that look like that when they're 23, but they also don't like carry around a cute little backpack.
Yeah.
And with their work clothes. I'm just like, what is this design? Like, just, if she's 23, get rid of the stupid backpack. I don't get this.
I'm going to call you bullshit because where I work, there is a bunch of office people, and backpacks are very, very popular.
Really? Still?
Yeah, when I worked in audit, they would give us backpacks to carry our computers around in.
That's interesting. I always see like briefcases. So
like her with a
else.
backpack was just like, yeah, that's how the world works.
Like over the shoulder bags, like I understand, and like briefcases, they always seem more professional to me than like a backpack.
No, I even have a backpack I take to work. Yeah.
Oh, look at you! You're so cute.
I know. Yeah.
You're very cool. Yeah, that's very kawaii desu of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. No, I'm just like it's like totally a thing. And like they're just it's a convenience. Like it's better than carrying like a briefcase or just like I guess maybe a bag over her shoulder. It's probably a little bit more comfortable since it's over two shoulders. But anyways, there is a after credits scene that I just didn't get. I don't know what that was about. I'm also getting like transgender vibes.
From who? From
actually Inami herself, and also that in the Idwell, it's Inami mainly, but then it's also mixing with the male people. So that I'm just wondering what Inami's gender is exactly.
Okay, interesting.
Which would explain why maybe Kazuta didn't like them early on or something. I don't know. I'm going out on a limb. I just want to know if it's right.
Yeah. It's interesting.
That is
and and that detective earlier, the one that got murked, he said it may not matter whether the killer, whoever they kill, is male or female because they're attracted to them.
Right. That's true. They did say that. That's a good point.
So that was also brought up too. So I was like,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would make sense in a way if they were like at least biologically male, because the majority of serial killers are male. It's very rare to have a female serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe Inami is actually a guy and killed the real Inami and took her place.
or no, maybe you're just a gender fluid person who happened to be born male, and
I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
We'll find out for sure.
I just get weird vibes like that from it. I could be totally wrong, but yeah. Kat, tell us about your favorite and most exciting show.
Are you kidding? But sure. I'll tell you about Dorohedoro or whatever. Dorohedoro.
Dorohedoro.
Dorohedoro. There we go. Episode 5. Cayman in Wonderland. So.
Cayman.
I'm just going to shit all over your show.
The Cayman Islands. Woo!
So Kaiman and Nikaido go to the sorcerer world again to get back his head. Kaiman claims at the beginning oh, we're not going back to the hole until I have my head back or whatever. But Nikaido doesn't really seem to take that seriously, and she's kind of like, well, then where will we sleep? Because we don't have any money.
Yeah.
So we're just like, oh yeah, so this isn't happening. So they get on this magic carpet taxi and head out, and then they realize they probably can't pay. So Kaiman just kills the taxi driver, but then this crashes the taxi, and I'm just like, well, that was stupid. And then he's like, I have the keys to the driver's house. And I'm just thinking in my head, but you'll never find the driver's house. You'll never know where they live.
Well, they did get lost for a while. They did finally find it, though.
But they don't. don't act. There's no way you could find someone's house just from their body. Like, do you keep on you like
a driver's
something?
License?
Well, but like
yeah, I was
usually,
gonna say, what if he grabbed his wallet too? There's the driver's license
but
that tells
usually
you where they live.
But usually your driver's license is not the address that you actually live at, because like everyone knows you move and shit. Like, let's be real.
I mean, mine is still legitimate, but yeah.
Mine's legit too. What the fuck? Say that's 2 out of 3. What's yours? Wrong.
Mine is legitimate, but like when I was in college, for instance,
So
it was
out
not
of 3 of us, all 3 of ours are right.
Yeah, but
and you
like,
say it's not
but
common.
you keep your driver's license for a pretty long time. If you move a different state, then like it's still going to probably be the right address. But if you move within the same state, then yeah, it could be wrong easily.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like the odds of being able to find it are low.
I don't think they're low. I think they're fairly high. Or at least 50-50.
Okay, Leo. I don't know. At least 50-50. I'll give you that. I'm just saying it seemed like they thought, oh, yeah, we'll just find it really easily. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But yeah, so then it goes to this scene where En, Shin, and Noi crowd around the head of that dude. And like, I guess he's awake, but he can't talk. And he's just kind of choking. And so En sends Shin and Noi out on a mission.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has like a scene where Kaiman and Nikaido go to this. It's like a bar, I guess.
Yeah.
And what is in that cocktail? Is that like eyeballs or something? Like what is it in there? It's like some sort of viscera that they put in the cocktail.
Wait, really? I didn't notice that.
Oh, you didn't notice?
No, I wasn't really paying attention to the cocktail.
You didn't notice how weird the cocktail looked?
No.
Ugh.
So like it's red and it just kind of looks like a red cocktail, but then it's got like it looks like 2 little dangly things like connected by some viscera, and I'm like, are those eyeballs? But they don't really seem big enough to be eyeballs.
Well, there's only one thing I can think of, so.
Well, I mean, and they can't be balls because like they would be even bigger. So I'm just like, what the fuck is that? But yeah, and then they talk about how there's like a fire flushing toilet. And this is like the first thing that he says when they come into the restaurant too. I'm like, why would that be the first thing you talk to everyone about when they come into your bar?
That's their big selling point. That's like their thing. We have the fire flushing toilets that are connected straight to hell.
But like, no one wants to go to a restaurant just because their toilet.
I mean, I did go to a Japanese toilet in the Japanese train station just to experience the Japanese toilet.
But that's because that wasn't a restaurant. It was a train station. Okay.
Doesn't Japan actually have a restaurant that's toilet themed?
Probably.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, there are lots of restaurants with cool. There are lots of restaurants with cool bathrooms.
They're feeding you on a toilet seat. I've seen what you're talking about, Leo. It's different, okay?
Yeah, but I'm saying toilets can be like your thing for a restaurant and it'll work.
I mean, no, because whatever. Anyway, that was dumb.
You ever seen Hot Rod where the guy comes out of the toilet and he's like, have you guys seen the toilets here? They're amazing. You remember that part?
Yes, I do remember that part. Yeah, I love a good toilet in a restaurant, man. It's always impressive.
But that's not what you go to the fucking restaurant for, and you know it.
But that's what I come back for.
You know, the other day I just had to educate Bcom on what Texas Roadhouse is.
Yeah, I had not heard of it. Yeah.
You've never been to a Texas Roadhouse.
And I have one like 15 minutes away from me. And so I looked at the menu with Leo and I was like, holy shit.
You're like a fancy rich boy, aren't you, Bcom? This is like the secret that you're hiding from us.
I grew up in a fancy rich boy area as a decidedly middle-class individual.
That's what they all say. Leo, we found out his secret. All the rich boys say they grew up in a fancy place, but we're really just middle class. I've been in school with enough fancy rich boys to know.
As I was growing up, my family sort of transitioned from being middle class to being sort of upper middle class because my parents...
now the story changes.
Oh,
I caught him in the lie. And I was like, that's bullshit. And he was like, okay, maybe it's bullshit.
Because my parents worked their asses off, while I was growing up.
We spent probably 15 minutes looking at the menu, and since I worked there in high school, I had some insider information, so like... I think I got him pretty hyped. I think he's going to go check it out. I told him he's got to get the rattlesnake bites.
No, those are pretty good. And then, I mean, Please don't eat the peanuts. It's disgusting when they throw them on the floor.
Oh, I forgot to talk about that part.
Oh yeah, no, that's not great. Yeah, the bloomin' the rattlesnake bites are really good. The steak's always really decent, and then like the
bloomin'
rolls.
onion, you mean, that they stole from
Cactus
Outback?
blossom.
Yeah, pretty much. And then what's the rolls with the butter that's like sweet
Cinnamon butter.
The cinnamon butter.
Oh my god! But like, it's so bad for you because I had a roommate who worked at Texas Roadhouse for the longest time as well, and she was like, "Oh, the calories in that butter are ridiculous. You don't want to eat that." Da, 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 da. And I'm like, "But I do. But don't tell me." Like,
I basically told Leo, like, I've been to a roadhouse in Texas, but I have not been to Texas Roadhouse.
Nah, it's totally different.
no, you need to go. But yeah.
All right, where were we?
Anyway, so there's like some weird things in this. So like at one point, Nikaido goes to the bar for directions and like is confronted by this devil person who gives her a piece of paper with blood on it, and I'm just like, okay.
So I looked into that a little bit, and like devils are like really powerful beings in this world, but they sort of keep to themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like even on my enemy list, there's a guy on here called Chihayafuru, and apparently he's the omnipotent leader of the devils.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah.
He like created the world, or like everybody in the world. I don't know. I didn't read in too much into it in case it was spoilers, but yeah.
She talks to another devil at the end of the episode too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Kaiman eats dumplings and gets sick. And then when he tries to, so he gets sick when he drinks the drink, which makes me even wonder more what the fuck is in it. Runs to the toilet and passes out. And then he gets up and he pushes a lever on the toilet and a fire comes out. And I totally thought it was just going to be a bigger deal than it ended up being. Because when he's like, read the instructions very carefully before you use the toilet, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. Like some terrible thing is going to happen. And really like nothing terrible happened. So I was a little disappointed.
Oh, what's that they call it when you flush it in the middle of a shit? I can't think of the name. It's got a specific name. Courtesy flush.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like somebody's going to accidentally courtesy flush and fucking cook themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, they find a guy with the crosses on his eyes like Kaiman, and so they follow him. But Shin and Noi and the crew are also following him, and Kaiman and Nikaido lose him and leave. So Shin and Noi and the rest of them go in and kill this dude. And Noi gets shot in the head in the process. And
But she recovers because of her magic.
Yes. And then Nikaido goes out and visits this demon called Asu to see what she can learn for Kaiman. And he's like, do you like Kaiman? And she like blushes, which was weird.
Well,
Hey,
she
she's
says
got a
that
lizard
she
fetish.
doesn't feel that way at all, kind of. And then she blushes. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a weird schoolgirl element to put in this fucking anime. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think it might have to do with like whatever her relationship is with the demons, which like I think this next part you're going to go into like makes me suspicious about her a little bit.
Well, it seems like the demons are kind of all knowing.
Yeah.
They just kind of know everything. So that's cool.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Nikaido goes out. She goes to a merchant, and she uses this like dense smoke to get all the money he has, and then she destroys the smoke because she wants no proof of the abilities in the smoke.
Yeah, so apparently she has like some extremely powerful magic.
Yes,
But she refuses to use it, yeah.
Also, that
Yeah.
merchant had like a bottle of like Ebisu's smoke just hanging out as
Yeah,
well.
and it focused on that for a second and then just did nothing with it, so I don't know.
I don't know, maybe later, but yeah, that was interesting.
Maybe later we'll find out Nikaido, swiped it or something.
maybe, but yeah, it was interesting for sure. And then I don't know when they go back to them interrogating that prisoner that they got from earlier, like in the gang or whatever. Doesn't he just seem very nonchalant and like not caring at all?
Seems a lot like Kaimon.
I was just like, what's going on?
Yeah. So I think that guy's name is Risu, like with the crosses on his eyes.
Yeah, Risu.
Yeah.
So
But the Risu inside Kaiman's mouth acts totally different.
it's true. I don't know, but like this is a Risu that has been like fucking animated by En's magic or whatever, or not En's magic, but the fucking pink dog's magic, I guess. And like, I don't know. I think there's a possibility that Kaiman used to be Risu, and that he may have used to be the boss of these cross-eyed guys. Because like they're like, oh, the boss is dead. He's been like when Shin kills that guy with like a hammer, and the guy as he's dying says that person is dead, and he's probably talking about Risu or the boss because they're looking for the boss at that point. And so I assume like Risu, who was the boss, died, became Kaimon somehow in the other world. I don't know how, but that's my current theory about like what the connection between those two is. Yeah. Also, the one thing that made me laugh about this episode is how there's just like demons flying around that like say like good morning and good night, like roosters.
Yeah, like it's morning.
It made me think of the. It made me think of the crows from Demon Slayer.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like very similar voice and everything.
Yeah, the Sorcerer's World doesn't seem like a very pleasant place to be in. Nikaido also does not seem happy to be back there. So
Yeah, not great.
Nikaido seems like she's got some demon energy, or like maybe she's like a weird angel person. I don't know, something different.
It's different for sure, but
Maybe she's part devil.
Ooh. I don't know.
But yeah, and then Nikaido goes to ends by herself at the end, which was weird and not a good move. And I was also like, wait, no, stop. That was stupid. Well, I guess we'll get to see more of that next episode. But.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break, and we will be back with the second half of the podcast in just a bit.
Yes, we'll see you in a minute. Bye.
Hey, do you like wrestling?
Whether it be in a bar, an arena, some weird place in Asia, or in a stadium?
Or the occasional penisplex?
Well, if any of these things might tickle your fancy, anywhere in between from penises to wrestling, you can come and check out our podcast.
Our podcast name is Smack It Down. We talk all things WWE, New Japan, anything else in between.
I'm Jay Silver.
I'm Corey Gold.
And we look forward to you joining us.
Happy Rusev Day.
Happy Rusev Day indeed.
The Trash Pandas bring you this nugget from another trash can. What happens when Brains and Bullets discuss episode 2 of One Punch Man?
Pretty much gene splicing heads. They will
Yep.
Yeah, they will splice genes. They have a cyborg gorilla. They have frog that walks on two legs and communicates at long range. Like they got, you think it? They splice
The Lion King.
Yeah, they have the lion. They have a f***ing lion, Beast King, and
Simba.
yeah, he's f***ing Simba. I don't mean he's f***ing Simba. I mean he's f***ing Simba.
We at Trash Pandas Watch Anime dig through the trash so you don't have to. You can find the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter where you'll get live updates from what we do.
And we're back with
There's
Seton
lions,
Academy.
tigers, and wolves,
And bears, oh
sloths.
fucking my. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
they're all over the
there's-
place.
I think there's a panda next week too.
Chimpanzees.
Is that why it's been in the dock this whole time? You're so fucking excited about
Look
this
at that
panda.
cute ass panda girl that's showing up next
You're
episode,
like,
boys.
this will happen. Oh, yes. Like, you've been
Hell yeah.
waiting since episode 2. You're like, this fucking panda bitch. Oh, yeah.
I've got some bamboo you might want to look at.
Kat is talking about our character sheet for our convenience that has the pictures and their names.
Don't you
on our
know that
dock.
bamboo is the hardest of materials, baby?
Okay.
So,
I
anyways,
heard you have trouble reproducing.
anyways, field day is coming up. Bcom, do your stupid joke so we can move on.
They're going to have a field day with this episode.
Yeah, so you can turn off your mic now and just
that,
go
that was
away.
my thought
Kat and I will
when I started watching
finish
this.
Oh, man.
And Ronka wants everybody to participate. That's cool. They all refuse and leave her in the club room to throw her a fit. She's just like laying on the floor, just going like, no, like a really bad temper tantrum with like dogs barking the whole time. It's
It's just so stupid, the dog barking noise. It's great.
But Miyubi stays behind. She's a sloth. She's the sloth, and says she would like to actually do it with her. But she's like, I don't think I can. And Ranka's like, that's nonsense. I'll be right there with you by your side. Woo! You know, Ranka's enthusiasm, tail wagging at 100 miles an hour. So the two go outside to practice, and they start with like the 3-legged race. And that went about as well as you would imagine. Miyubi's down. And it turns out she landed on one of those minions. And they are out there to set up for like field day. And Ranka says, they will help. And it'll also help Miyubi's stamina. And Miyubi's, yeah, she sucks. She just ends up dying a lot. And I kind of laughed because one of them was, and she died because the wind blew. I was like, all right, that was kind of funny.
I just want to end it. Like, I want it to stop. Like, could someone just really kill her so we can stop with this?
I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. Hitomi ends up taking Jin outside to show that the other two have been practicing in secret, and Miyubi can actually complete the 3-legged race now. So, like, this is just like a time skip. And Jin's like, well, shit. I guess we should probably actually participate now. Field day arrives. Everybody's going crazy. And our group gets confronted by the zebra donkey, Kuroi. Yeah. But and she's still hanging out with like those two nerdy donkeys from the first episode.
Yeah.
And she's like, we will win field day. And she's also like, now I'm an international world champion at Magic the Donkeys.
Oh man, I think at the very end of the episode you see them playing it too. Like it's like so good.
Yeah. Yukari's like, hey, sorry to burst your bubble, but you have to have a group of 5 to compete. So they cry. But they're still standing around. They're waiting for Miyubi to show up. When she literally comes running at them, of course, everybody's like, what the fuck is going on here? She even starts doing stretches while like doing tongue twisters and then just passes out. Turns out she has a fever, and Jin says she must be a poikilothermic, which means they're like extremely. It's like cold-blooded, but like even more.
Or it's like their body's like vary in temperature a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, when I looked into it, apparently naked mole rats are too.
Yeah, there's like that sentence on Wikipedia, like the naked mole rat and sloth are some of the rare mammals which are.
That's exactly what I read, and I was like,
yeah. I was just surprised it was those two, and I was like, huh, is that going to be a thing? It's probably going to be a thing.
Yeah, even though she's like has a really high fever, she still really wants to participate. And Ranka's like, no, you must rest. We will win this for you. And the first race is a foot race, and Ranka's up against like a cheetah and a horse and a chimpanzee. And the chimpanzee ends up winning by making the others slip on banana peels and using her roller skates. And apparently, since they said this is the field day is so that the animals can use their unique abilities to win this. And because chimpanzees are smart, they can get away with it, I guess.
Their unique ability is being assholes.
So it says in this, like, it claims that chimpanzees can use fire. And so, like, they're so smart, blah, blah, blah. That's not true. There is no monkey in the wild that makes fire, okay? I looked this up because it bugged me, and I was like, is it really true? There are some animals in the wild where we have given them fire.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And they've learned how to use it, yeah.
And they're like, oh, if we do this, then, like, this happens. Or, like, there'll be a wildfire. And, like, a chimp will be like, ooh, this is a wildfire. Like, I can do this. But no, none of them know how to make fire.
They don't, like, rub 2 sticks together, like, take a flint and, like, light a fire up.
Because if that was the case, I would be, like, truly terrified. Like, I'd be like, oh, fuck. We should respect them more.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so just a clarification. This episode is full of, like, half lies. By the way.
Yeah. So the apes continue to win most everything by cheating and get a huge lead. The cooking club still has not done anything. They still have 0 points. And the final event is this giant obstacle course looking fucking race thing. And the thing is, if you win it, you get 300 points. So that basically means no matter who wins it, you get first place. Jen's like, all right, I'm tired of fucking with these damn chimpanzees. Let's get him back. So he recruits the donkeys to do the first part of the race that is like traversing a snowy mountain.
Okay. Again, I looked this up. Donkeys do not do well in cold weather. This is a myth.
However, it is true what they say that Napoleon did ride on a mule that he borrowed from a local peasant over the Alps when he was trying to attack Austria in like 1800 or whatever.
It's not true that they do well in cold weather.
Do they do better than horses?
They've done like studies and they really don't.
I don't know if it was necessarily a horse because, or like not a horse because of like the weather, or if it was because of just like terrain or just necessity.
I think it was terrain because it's a very mountainous area. I could see a donkey being better than a horse for that, just from
and
terrain
they
alone.
are literally on a mountain, so
yeah. But
So
I'm just saying the cold thing is incorrect. If they had said they're on a mountain, donkeys do good with high terrain, then I would have said, okay.
Did they say cold?
They did.
I don't think
say cold.
Okay. I don't remember them specifying, just saying that Napoleon used donkeys instead of a horse. But that's how he encourages them by telling this, and they're just like, yeah, let's do this. And they just fucking go flying. Another flat out lie, because I definitely looked this part up, is arm wrestling, and Yukari wins because there's a legend that koalas have a crazy grip strength, and you cannot find shit about that.
Oh, like the urban legend of that? Yeah, I don't know.
That what koala's grip strength is. I couldn't even find what it was.
It's probably not very high. It must be some Japanese urban legend thing that we don't even know about. I don't know.
See, this show is not accurate.
Yeah, Leo.
It's all your fault. You wrote the show yourself, didn't you?
Also, like, Leo, before you go on, I just want to mention I took a picture of this because I was so disturbed. It's just like one point in the episode, there's like a little skunk girl that exists. I just looked at this skunk girl and I looked deep into her eyes and I went, man, that is terrifying because, like, man, she must smell so bad.
They only stink when they spray, and there's two of them in the picture.
She probably sprays like every now and then, like she looks so happy.
Every time she has sex, do you think she sprays?
Oh yeah, like jeez, she looks a little too young to be having sex.
Just put a nose plug like for their partner. Just
oh man, you would just think like the other students would be like a little wary of the skunk girl.
I mean, they just would make sure not to scare her. Just make sure never to frighten her.
Anyway, I just noticed the skunk girl and I was like, oh shit.
I saw that in your notes and I'm like, why are you singling this
You're like,
out?
why is this relevant?
All I wrote is, dear Lord, there's a skunk girl.
Oh my god.
So now the cooking club is on a winning streak and the chimpanzees are starting to get worried and decide to do something about it. Jen also has to run through the desert because humans are known to be the only animal who can continually run long distance as long as it's not in the cold. This is actually true because early humans hunted animals chasing them until they became too tired to keep running. Yeah, and it also has to do, there's two main reasons. One is because we're bipedal and we're upright, but the really, really big one is because we sweat. So we don't overheat as easily. And that's usually what happens. Usually the animal we're chasing eventually just collapses from a heat stroke or something.
I feel like there are some animals that sweat, probably. Like, I don't know, like rhinos or something.
Because of the fur, it doesn't allow them to.
Yeah, but I was just thinking like rhinos might sweat because they don't have fur.
God, you put rhinos and sweat together, and I think of Ace Ventura 2. Where he's crawling out of the back of the rhino fucking machine. He's like, he's coming out of the asshole. God, have you ever seen it?
Yeah, no, I have not. I'm sorry. So elephants apparently sweat.
Yeah,
and horses definitely do. Horses do sweat because I've ridden on a horse. They fucking sweat.
Yeah, but an elephant's not really a runner.
Well, but a horse. Okay, so like yeah, most you're correct. There are a few exceptions.
Yeah. So we get a nice little fan service scene of Hitomi putting on a swimsuit to do the swimming race.
It was extra fan servicey. I noticed that. I was like, oh, they like went for it this time.
They definitely did, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the chimpanzees kick her ass, yeah. Or chloroform her or whatever.
Yeah, they're like, don't you wish you had walked in at that moment when she's laying chloroformed on the floor?
The reason Hitomi was going to do this one was because apparently she used to be on the swim team. But then she gets chloroformed by the chimpanzees and they're like, oh shit, they get her to the medical tent and they're like, well, who's going to do the swimming race? And Mubi gets up and she's like, I'm doing better and I should do it. And they're just fine. And they put her in there, and she's like really slow at it. And like every time she goes to like wave at people, like she starts drowning.
But apparently sloths are really good swimmers. Like I did look this up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why they didn't play that up more. Like suddenly have her be really fast at it or something.
Well, are they fast swimmers? I mean, you can be a good swimmer and not be fast.
It said they were fast. Like they were. I don't know.
Probably relative to everything else they do.
Yeah. maybe.
But then everybody starts getting really impressed with her determination to finish. And then before you know it, the whole school is just like cheering her on, like, yeah, you can do it. She's like, woo. And she ends up making it to the end. And now it's Ronka's turn to finish a race, which is basically a sprint through a jungle. And she easily catches up to the chimpanzee and just like goes all fucking crazy wolf lolly on her. And threatens her if she ever messes with her pack again, she's gonna fucking kill her. And the chimpanzee just basically pisses herself, and then Ronka wins. And then it's pretty funny because they also allow the donkeys to share a corner of the club room since they helped out, which is pretty funny because you just see them in like the corner playing their little Magic the Donkeys the whole time.
So weird.
And then that's the end of the episode. And I just want to say I'm looking forward to Panda Girl next episode. I want to see what this is all about.
Yeah, Panda Girl's gonna be hype. Can't wait.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know about that, but I'm glad you guys are excited.
That was a pretty fun episode because it got like everybody in the cast involved in one way or the other, and there's just like a bunch of shenanigans. Yeah, the show's not as fucking accurate as Leo might have hoped early on, but it's still funny.
Oh, I know. He's
Well,
like, Leo's
early
like,
on,
it's
it
so
had-
accurate.
No,
I'm
wasn't
like,
that
it's
it
a
was so
lie.
accurate. I was like, it had weird facts about these animals and was correct about them, and I was just like, whoa, that's weird.
Oh man,
Kat, would you ever have known that wolves greet each other by licking the insides of their mouths?
I already knew that because I have a dog, and dogs do the same thing. And the first year that I had her, I looked up, why the fuck do dogs always want to lick you in the mouth? And I learned this.
Well, you're a diamond in the rough because that's not very common knowledge.
But anyway, I don't know. It's fun. It's a little more entertaining. I will say this episode, it fell into that trope of like the big contest where they're losing and then the very last whatever it is, they like do well and they pull ahead. You've seen, I don't know why Japanese people are so like into this trope. Have you noticed this?
It's such a high school anime trope also, just to have like the field day like at the school festival, and like the club has to like compete. Like it's been in so many anime before, but
oh yeah, like so.
At least they had the stupid animal stuff allows them to put slightly a unique twist on like the journey, but like you're right that like the outcome is like very predictable.
I think that's why they did it, because they're like, oh, we got the animals, so we can, make it pretty unique compared to anything else that does this.
Right,
See,
exactly.
I was watching it at the gym, and there was a moment for 5 minutes where I had downloaded it before, and the download like had a glitch, and so 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes didn't have any sound. It was just, the subtitles.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I wouldn't even need to see these subtitles at all. Like, I could understand what was happening without them, because I've watched this same exact fucking thing like 300 times in 300 other anime.
It's true.
And I was like, this is so sad. Oh,
But
no.
I don't mind tropes when tropes are like done well though. Like, and I thought this did it pretty well. It was fine.
It was all right.
It was a good
I wasn't angry at it. I was entertained for most of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on to BOFURI. I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. Episode 5. We get our new girl, Kasumi. She thinks that 2 against 1 is bad odds and runs off using her super speed. Sally does the same and goes after her, leaving Maple behind. And then Sally and Kasumi have like a quick face off before like Maple comes crashing in from the sky and causes like all three to get sucked down into the sand. And I feel like she was like sledding on her shield.
I don't know. So I think she used cover move from like a really long distance, and it like shot her through the sky or something. Like that was the only thing I could think of, because like how else could she possibly catch up with them? They both have super speed. So she must have used cover move to get close to Sally, but like because they were so far away, she just comes crashing in like a fucking comet. That was my guess anyway. That was the only thing that made sense to me for how that would work.
Yeah. Anyways, they get sucked down into like the sand pit, and they wake up in like a dungeon type area, but they're all chained together. And this chain has like special magical properties. And if one of them dies, they all die. So they're assuming, they're just in a dungeon. This is a special circumstance for them. So they have to complete the dungeon or whatever.
You all have to work together now. Become friends.
Yeah, and Kasumi seems like very easy to work with, like right off the bat, so it doesn't seem bad. And they wander the dungeon for a while, and they eventually come across like a large cavern with like many other tunnels. And then suddenly out of these tunnels come like giant snails, and they can't be killed, and they must be avoided. So they're like basically a mechanic for the dungeon. You got to dodge them, go around them. God, I can think of so many games that are like this. I know you probably can too, Bcom.
Oh yeah. Just like where it's a traversal thing. It's like in a Destiny raid where you have to like, you don't have to fight anything, but you have to like find a way to traverse like a perilous area. Yeah, so it's like that.
It's like the you probably didn't do that raid. Never mind. They only escape after finding a tunnel high up and combine Sally's leap with Kasumi's lowly moon ability that manages to get them just high enough to get in through it and away from the snails. And it's very convenient because it leads right to the end of the dungeon. What an easy dungeon. And then the chains just disappear, and they get the chest. And inside the chest, Maple gets in like a new shield. They don't tell you what it is. Kasumi gets some spears, and there's also 3 ability scrolls inside, but they're all the same. So everybody just gets one. They don't
split them.
They didn't even say what it was, did they?
I don't remember if they said no.
No, they didn't.
I was trying to think of that. Yeah.
So they leave the dungeon, and day 4 of the contest has ended. They all add each other as friends, and Kasumi departs, so they go their own ways. And there's only 3 days left, and Maple and Sally need to find 9 more coins to reach their total of 20, which is 10 apiece. And then they just literally do nothing but a bunch of stills of the 2 just doing game stuff. That's all it is.
Yeah, but they're not doing PvP. That's the important thing. They're still just trying to like find them in the wild and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Still just doing PvE stuff. Mm-hmm. So at one point, Sally eventually goes for a swim looking for some coins and comes back to find Maple playing a game with a girl called Kanade. Kanade has a special cube she obtained from a library that took her 4 days to solve. It's also apparently a staff, and she won't reveal what the skill is. So that's a mystery for now.
I would like Leo to repeat what he said. What did you say with library? What was it? Was it a library?
Library?
Sorry, I had to be
I like that Cat's equal opportunity. When I fucked up and said library a couple weeks ago, she also jumped on my ass for it.
I mean, I jumped on your ass earlier, so I have to jump on Leo's ass
true.
now.
Yeah, it's only fair.
Yeah.
So
I mean, anyway, go on.
Those 3 at each other as friends, and Kanade gives them a book that contains a riddle to the event. She doesn't care about the event. She's just there to goof off. So she's like, here, take this to your advantage.
She's pretty low level, so like she couldn't even do it probably, maybe. Even.
So following the book's riddle, they go to some ruins, and after filling up the 4 fountains, using Hydra to fill 3 of them, they get transported to an underwater like bubble dome, basically. Mm-hmm. And then they start to fight like this giant squid that regenerates tentacles, and they're like, Maple's like, fuck, I can't swim. How am I supposed to go out there and fight that thing? So she's like, okay, I'll use Hydra, and I'll just poison all the water. And they just kill the squid relatively easily.
She basically just like becomes ExxonMobil and just poisons the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And that's how they end the boss fight. It's so ridiculous. I was laughing really hard the first time I saw that. When I realized what was going on. The only thing I didn't understand was like how Sally wasn't affected by the poison at all, but I guess she kind of like directed it
She's
outwards.
in the party. Your abilities don't affect your party usually.
Sally's worried about like sometimes when like Maple is like using that venom sac to jump down a cliff that last episode, and she's running towards her with poison all over her, and Sally's worried that the poison will do something. So I don't know. There might be friendly fire. I'm not sure in this game. Like, I think
also Sally was not in the water; she was in the bubble.
Yeah, but was the squid wasn't inside the bubble?
No, it was outside.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's it then. Okay, then maybe
yeah.
Safe.
So they jump in the transporter and takes them to like a special place called the Tranquil Sea, and they get 2 more medals, and it's just like a really pretty place. And then the moderators see that Maple's now beating the Sea King, and they're like, fuck, she's becoming more like the last boss herself. What the fuck is going on here? And like some of them are like in denial, and they're just like, Maple who? I'm just ignoring what's going on.
Yeah.
She's just like destroying their game. So
Yeah,
there's
that's
not,
fun.
yeah, so there's not much time left for the event before the event ends, and Sally decides they need to start killing players and taking their medals. Since Maple's face is well known, they have her stay behind and guard their medals. Sally then goes off and like over a night just like massacres
Mass
like a
murders.
shit ton of players. And
I love that shot when she's like sitting on the tree branch and there's just like on the ground, like scattered, like 50 fucking swords and shields of people she's killed. And it's just like, oh my god.
And she's like, all I got was 2 fucking measly medals. God damn.
Yeah. God. I was
But that
thinking if she teamed up with Shin and Noi from Dorohedoro, they could literally kill anything.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
They would be unstoppable. So, but that gives them their 20 medals they wanted. And then Kasumi shows up at like the cave they're hiding in, and like Maple like puts poison at the entrance so that people won't come in. That's pretty funny. And then when so the event ends and the fucking little thing that announces everything pops up and he's like, everybody who had 10 medals or more, you get to choose a new skill. And Maple ends up choosing psychokinesis. And also, she was training the turtle and the fox while Sally was away. And Syrup learned a new skill, which is like basically Giga size and can turn really big. Yeah. And she chose psychokinesis so that she could fly through the sky with her on top of Syrup. And then she demonstrates this and then like, goes over to a mob and she's like, acid rain! And like rains it down on them. And it's just... and Kasumi and Sally are just like, what the fuck is wrong with her? Now she's riding giant turtles and raining acid rain on people. Fuck.
Like, I just started to think, like, from an outsider's point of view, like, both Maple and Sally are just, like, monsters at this point. Like, they have to be stopped. Something has to be done. Like, they're poisoning entire ecosystems. They're, like, mass murdering other players. Like, it's just a fucking slaughter. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So the text messages were kind of funny. It was really funny. The one that I found really funny was that somebody's like, I saw Maple riding through the sky with her friends and raining acid rain down on everything.
It's kind of like saying, like, I saw evil Santa in the sky or something.
And people are like, that can't be true. And then also there's like Sally's Night of Rampage. Like turned out to be like everybody's like, what was that about? Nobody knows, but something murdered all these people over one night. So yeah, they're pretty OP characters pretty much at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just funny how Maple's like, acid rain, yay, look, it works. And you're just like, what the fuck? Fucking crazy psycho bitch.
Yeah, I don't know, like this show sometimes kind of doesn't keep my interest super well. Like, it's fun, but it kind of just... I get distracted easily with this.
For me, it does enough fun stuff every episode. Like, especially this episode, which is like the crazy... When they pulled the thing with the squid where they just poisoned the entire ocean, I was laughing so hard that it carried me through like the next 5 minutes easily. Like, I was still thinking about that like 5 minutes later. So for me, it does enough with like its big jokes that it carries me through an episode pretty easily, but... Yeah, I can understand, like, there's some downtime where it's just like, they're just doing, MMO stuff.
Yeah.
But I love that stuff. I don't know. I love the big jokes.
You just got to think when they developed this game that, like, they did some very shallow testing because if it's this easy for Maple to just walk in and just, like, break the game, basically.
It's so badly programmed, this game. It's just terribly thought out. Yeah.
Which is, if this was a real world, like, Maple wouldn't have, but, like, tons of other people will, like, figure out these exploits and just, like, wrecked it immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know.
Ooh.
All right, should we move on?
Yes.
Sure, to the slow show.
Yeah, this has been slow. I've been frustrated with Haikyu because, like, usually it's an amazing show. Usually it's very high tension, and they've just been so bleh this season.
Yeah, I think that's what's probably bothering me right now. Is there's no tension. I'm like, everybody's just practicing, and even like when people get kind of serious about the practice, you're just like, yeah.
But it doesn't
so
matter because there's no score.
So what?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I've been feeling too. Like, can we have a game or something so I can care? Like,
not just me.
I was getting frustrated especially this last episode because I'm like, I don't even know what to talk about. They talk about Kageyama a little bit, like the coaches being like, it's such a genius, and how everyone was looking at him in middle school, and then kind of almost flashing back on how his team sort of abandoned him and like wouldn't play with him almost.
Yeah, he was known as like the dictator at one point because he, dictated where everybody was supposed to go on the court, and nobody liked that about him.
Yeah, I just felt like, well, I mean, if you're at season 4, I'm sure you've seen season 1. I don't really know if we need that recap. Mm-hmm. And that's what it felt like to me, a recap.
A little bit, yeah.
And you get to see Kay playing with some of the other players from other teams. That's fun. Like, throughout the whole practicing part, I was just like, I don't care because none of this is being scored.
And it's not going to matter.
Yeah, it's not engaging in the same way. I don't know. And they make like 2 oyster jokes in the show where they're like, oh, the one coach got sick off of oysters, and then at the very end they're like, haha, we're eating more oysters, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it was cute that the oyster thing from the last episode or whatever came around to like be a joke, but it's not like a particularly great joke. I agree with you.
It wasn't like, oh, it's so hilarious, I'm gonna die on the floor laughing. So it was kind of like, I don't know. They had like a little thing where they played with Kageyama being a spiker instead of a setter. And I was just like, well, it was interesting for a second, but obviously it's not going to happen. So, I'm not sure that really needed to be done. I did like at the very end that the coach did acknowledge that like players that don't have height, they have that hunger instead. Like they have their own advantage. They have like that eagerness that maybe players that are more naturally talented don't have.
I see. I wouldn't know about that, but Leo and Kat, do you identify with that feeling that you hunger for height?
See, I'm like slightly above average height for a girl. I'm 5'6".
Yeah, it's actually pretty average. Yeah,
it's like a little above, but like not overly. And I tend to date guys that are like just a few inches taller than me. I just like it that way. Mm-hmm. I just don't like really tall dudes. And I do find that guys who are like a little below average height, like they do have that like intense hunger inside them to like be taller or like be really good at something. Like, like no, I am below average height, but I will succeed. Like I do find that. Like I'm like,
I've always been really fast, so that made up for it.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It wasn't a bad episode. It just didn't seem like anything really important happened. At the very end of the episode, they do acknowledge, like they're like, "Oh, there's going to be a practice match," but they say it in the school that Karasunu is going to fight.
Yeah,
so,
Date Tech. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is Date Tech because I looked through all of the teams and I was like, no, I think that's Date Tech, but like. They don't like say it.
They don't say the school. They just it was like one of the guys' names that I looked up, and I was like, "Oh, that's Date Tech." Like if I had watched the seasons recently, I might have recognized their uniform colors, but it's been a while. So
yeah, but like it's been a while for most people who watch the show. So I did feel like they should have been more clear. I mean,
I'm sure we'll know next episode, but like yeah, they could have been.
I looked it up. I'm almost certain it's Date Tech, but I'm just saying like most people I don't think would know. Just right off by looking at that. And that's kind of a critique. Like, they should probably... It's not that hard to just put, like, Date Tech or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I kind of agree with you guys that, like, hey, not a lot really happens this episode. And not a lot of what they do in the practice, like, seems like it's going to be important. But, like, just take, for instance, like, Kageyama switching and showing that he can be a good spiker as well as a setter. Like, that could come into play if they decide to run a play where he spikes instead of sets, like, as a fake out. Like, I could see that coming into play later in this season. Is it going to come into play? I don't know. It could just be a random thing that they showed off that he has those abilities, but they could be setting that up for much later. I don't know.
I felt like really they were trying to set it up like Kageyama maybe doesn't need Hinata, whereas like maybe Hinata does need Kageyama, or like maybe Hinata needs to learn not to need Kageyama. Like I can see that being what they're trying to set up.
Yeah, I was a little worried because that Mia guy who's on like the All Japan team talks to Kageyama about how he's a goody two shoes on the court. And I was like, oh, don't let this make Kageyama regress into being an asshole again.
Yeah.
We don't need that. Like,
we don't need like a teenage drama phase to this anime.
I do think
I would immediately be just fucking like, can we stop fucking covering this?
I feel like Hinata and some others, though, would keep him in check if he started to go in that direction. Because he's already sort of been through that. And I was encouraged by the way, like, when they see each other, they lock eyes at the end of this episode, and they, like, run to the door as fast as they can. It's like they're just back in their rhythm again. But they also both know, like, they can get much better than they currently are, which was good. Like, I liked that Kageyama told Hinata about, you know, hey, they have this little giant at the All Japan game, and he was one of the best players there. And he's also 100 times better than you. You better get better. Like, and Hinata's like, why'd you have to tell me that last part? You could have just stopped with like, oh, he's one of the best players. So yeah, that was cool. So it establishes that they both have a lot of distance to go. But I was also, like you guys, happy that this practice arc is over and we can move on.
Yeah, I was just like, can we please? Like, this is not.
Yeah.
So
hopefully it gets more
it'll be
hype
better
Yeah.
next episode because I really don't want to drop it. Like, I like Haikyu, but right now, from week to week, it's not doing much. So we'll see.
I think that practice match versus
got
Date Tech should be interesting.
One more episode to make your decision.
I know. So, okay. Now we get to the fun part. Interspecies Reviewers, episode 5. I don't know. I'm not going to read the fucking name because it's too long.
I was going to ask, can you please read the title because it's so fucking long?
I guess. It just seems... Anyway. I want to drown in a Cyclops girl's pretty eye, but it's pretty hard? Speaking of hard, let pros pick out the perfect nut mushroom girl for a slimy, sticky good time. Which, to me, mushrooms are not that slimy or sticky, but whatever.
For obvious reasons, I disliked the second part of this episode.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to it.
It's fun. You guys are big babe. Anyway, so the first part, the reviewers get paid to go to a Cyclops establishment. So that's interesting. It's the first time they've really gotten paid to do a review. So it's kind of a milestone. They go in, and the shop says it specializes in size. So the guys are totally psyched about this. They think that means big boobs. But really, they mean just giant eyes. Like,
but
giant
they're talking about them like
fucking-eyed
F cup,
girls.
like E cup, H cup, and it's like, okay, they're talking about cup sizes, huh?
Well, I don't think they said cup. I think they said like H size.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But like that's obviously deceiving because they're thinking they mean cups.
Oh, before they go in, there's like a cow prostitute, and
Yeah.
her tits
God.
are way too big. Like, they're so big, it was like very off-putting. Just like,
It
ugh.
was
I
weird.
never understood like hentai with girls like that. Like where their boobs are like almost bigger than the rest of their body combined.
I don't get it either.
There's
I'm
like
just like,
so
but-
much like that too, and I also don't like it.
It's odd. It's
just not attractive at all to me. Like, I don't get it. Yeah.
It's a little odd, but whatever. But yeah, so Conchal like immediately is like, "Oh no, I want the biggest one."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, we wanted the biggest one, you bitch!" Da, 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 da. And then they bring her out, and she's got just like her whole entire face is just one eye, basically,
Yep.
like a big blue fucking eye. And they're like, "Oh, well, maybe we're not so sad." So he goes back with her, and it's weird how fetishy it was. Like, I guess I should have expected that. But
Yeah,
like,
see, I wasn't surprised by it. I'm like, okay, yeah, that would sound like the route you would go if I was making this, you know?
I
Something
guess,
fucking
but I'm
weird.
just like, it's just such a strange fetish. I've never seen people be like fetishy about eyes. I guess there's a first time for everything. I mean, everything is a fetish. Like they put eye drops in her eye, and she's like, "Ah, I'm so I'm like,
Squirt it in me.
yeah, and I'm just like, okay.
I just take it that their eyes are for the Cyclopses are also part of their
Almost
sexual
sexual,
organs.
kind
Yes.
of, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Because one of them's like, lick it.
Oh no, I get to talk about that. So like the angel picks a big-eyed girl too. And he seems like he enjoyed it more, Krim did.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's some weird shit. So like at one point she's like, it's dilating. And like her eye dilates and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, okay. And
hey, your eyes actually dilate when you see things you like. So
that's true.
Makes sense.
Yeah, well, when you get turned on, your eyes could dilate too. So I guess I could see that.
Yeah.
Like whatever. But it's still weird. And then she's like, ooh, lick it. I'm so wet. And I'm just, and he fucking licks it. He fucking licks it.
Unsanitary.
And I like stopped. I had to pause. And I was like, no. And I had to like shudder and just be like, oh. And I should bring up, I have a slight thing about eyes. I've been to the optometrist a few times where they put those like numbing drops in your eyes. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
And they like examine them. And there was one time where like the lady like touched my eye a few times to like test a few things. And I passed out.
Oh,
wow.
And they had to put me.
Wow.
So I guess you could say I have a thing about eyes. I don't want people fucking touching my eyes. Don't fucking touch other people's eyes. Don't lick someone's eye. Disgusting.
What was your head at? What, like your mind state, like when she was doing that? Was it like really, really bothering you to the point that it like made you pass out, or?
Oh, I just was like, oh, I don't know about this.
And then I just passed
then
out.
I was like really lightheaded, and then I was like,
so I work with a guy.
Reaction.
Yeah. So I work with a guy named Felix, and every month on Friday he has to go up to Indy, and he has to get a shot in his left eye because he's like half blind, and he says for the whole weekend it feels like there's a grain of sand in your eye.
Both
of you.
I don't like that. Like I had to get used to touching my eyes because of contacts. Like that was something, but I struggled so much like in the first like month of using them, getting used to putting them in, taking them out. And then like there's times where like you wear your contacts too long, like soft contacts, and they get dry. And then like you fall asleep by accident and they like get stuck behind your eyelids and you're like,
don't talk about it. No.
Yeah. So it's fun stuff like that. And, we experience every day.
I am so glad I have good vision and I don't have to fucking worry about that shit.
Yeah, it's nice not to have to worry about it.
So, okay, if there was the hottest chick ever, like, what's your favorite celebrity?
That's a good. What's the girl from Blade Runner?
Like the girl you want to fuck the most.
Anna de Armas or whatever her name is. She's really cute right now. I don't know.
So she comes up to you at a red carpet event. She's like, I want to fuck later, but you got to lick my eye.
Sure,
that's what I'm
not?
into.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. It's not my eye.
You would lick her eye.
It's not my eye. I don't have to deal with the after repercussions
but
of
you
that.
have to lick it. You have to taste her fucking eye.
I'm sure she takes great care of her eyes. She washes them every day.
Oh my god.
It would probably, if I had to get, an eyeball probably tastes like tears.
Probably tastes like mascara.
Would you do it, Leo?
I would do it for just any random chick I thought was hot and wanted to fuck.
You would do it too. No.
Yeah,
See,
like because it's not my eye. I was like, I lick your eye and I get to fuck you. Oh, okay. I like this deal.
I don't
See, like,
understand.
the question you should have asked is if like we had to get our own eyes licked.
Oh,
that's the better question.
I don't know. I could not lick someone's eye. I'm pretty open. I've let a dude pour a keg of beer over my head because that turned him on. I would not fucking lick someone's eye. No. Fuck no.
Wait. What kind of beer was it? Like what brand?
Did he
Was it like a
lick the
good
beer?
beer?
It was Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Did he lick it off you? That's the question. Was that his turn on? Was you being dipped in beer or him licking it off
His
you?
turn on was watching it like go over me, but I will say on that, no comment.
Okay, that was good. That's a podcast commercial, maybe.
We'll make it.
But yeah, no. I almost don't know if you could. I don't know what you'd have to do to get me to lick someone's. I don't think I could do it.
Well, if I was the one getting my eyeball licked, that cannot feel good. A tongue is rough against your eyeball.
Oh, don't even. Oh, no.
That immediately makes my eyes water and try to close.
I'm
Ugh.
like gripping the edge of this table so hard at the idea of someone coming up to me and fucking licking my eye. Oh my god. Okay. Oof. Disgusting. No. And anyway, so the other two pick girls that are very small-eyed because they're like, well, that's not what we're here for. This doesn't
I
turn
will
us
agree
on.
with them that the small-eyed girls look hotter than the large-eyed girls.
I mean,
the large-eyed girls
to
are
us,
like
of course.
fucking weird.
They're also very submissive.
Yeah, and I was like weirded out a little by their attraction to like the inferiority complex that the small girls have.
Well, it's because the size of their eyes are related to how much magic they can use.
Yeah.
Or something
And also,
like that.
I'm imagining it's kind of like if you had tiny boobs or something.
Yeah, it's a confidence
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
That's what
Exactly.
they're harping
That's
on.
what that was.
So, but I was just like, oh, these guys are like turned on by the fact that they have a bad opinion of themselves. Like, oh, that's kind of But it was interesting, and I can see like where they're coming from, and then also like it is a thing in the world. Guys are attracted to that. I get it.
Sure. Yeah.
So, you know, good and bad, whatever. But it was fun. I don't know. Then the second part of it. I forgot to say. You find out the reason that they got paid to do this, because it's kind of like, why the fuck did anyone care about this Cyclops place? Was a small-eyed Cyclops girl, like, really wanted to confess to some human that she had a crush on, and she wanted to know, like, how humans think of Cyclops girls with small eyes. Like, if they also prefer, like, bigger-eyed Cyclops girls. And so she was like, yay! It doesn't matter! I'm so happy.
I actually really liked that. That was like kind of cute.
I did too. I
Yeah.
thought that was interesting that they did use that to get to find out some a race's opinion. I guess for the most part, I thought that was kind of a neat way to go about it.
I also
I
like
thought
that
it was very cute.
these sex crazed assholes like did some good. Like,
They're doing some good. They're having fun.
Oh, they're doing
fun in
lots
the
of good.
world is a good thing. Mm-hmm. You can't like, shame it just because it's sexual.
True.
But anyway, so the second part,
Now let's
mushroom.
shame the second part.
It's so funny because earlier, Bcom, you were like, "Oh, if Sally teamed up with so and so from Dorohedoro, they'd be unstoppable." So in this one, in the second part, I'm like, Zell, if you love mushrooms so much, man, introduce you to a man named N from Dorohedoro.
Match made in heaven.
Oh man. But yeah, I don't know. At the very beginning, Val was like very into being like, Zell, sorry, is very into like, I really want some fucking mushrooms. Like, oh man.
It's a missing home thing they play it off as. I guess elves eat a lot of mushrooms or something like that.
I guess. And then Stunk like makes this dumb joke about like, "Ooh, I have a mushroom for you" to like the waitress. And I'm just like, I don't really know if that's a good joke cuz I don't really know any guy who really wants to compare his dick to a mushroom cuz mushrooms are not that large.
Yeah, but sometimes a dick is referred to as a mushroom head. So
I guess. But yeah. I mean, if it's got like a really big head and a tiny shaft. That's what a mushroom dick is. Like when the head is like gigantic and the shaft is like really skinny. Mm-hmm. So you're like you're like we're not going to give you any.
Oh no, it's actually because I was looking up something that you're going to talk about next because I wasn't sure either about the myconids.
Oh yeah, like I wondered if that's just a word for like a mushroom.
It is a D&D 5e race. Ranging from anywhere from 4 to 6 feet. Myconids are brightly colored fungi creatures who come in all shapes and sizes.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah.
That makes me feel better. Like the shortest one could only be 4 feet.
Well, I don't know.
With some of the imagery, I was concerned. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess they decide like we should go to the forest and fuck myconid girls and get mushrooms. Mm-hmm. So they get to this marketed place. It's like taking men's mushrooms to heaven. And I'm just like, really? And yeah, they match humans up with mushroom varieties themselves because there are so many different ones. Mm-hmm. And they have like a front desk girl to do it. And I thought that was interesting and fun. Like you get kind of picked for whatever.
Yeah.
And so this like old girl, and they make a lot of jokes like, man, you've been around the block a lot, huh? That's how you got this job. Like, da-na-na-na-na. And I'm just like, leave her alone. She has some knowledge. Like, fuck y'all. But she picks Namiko girls.
She so much looks like
oh, go ahead.
What's her name from Low Witch Academia?
Susie?
Susie, yeah.
Yeah.
The
the way her
girl?
face looks. Yeah, sure. I can see that. Yeah. Potion girl.
But yeah, she picks like Namiko's for the human, which just seems to be based on how slimy they are, which I was like, are mushrooms really slimy? Because like most of the mushrooms I eat are not, unless they're going bad, they're not slimy.
Wikipedia says like these kind have like a gelatinous coating. So I guess it's legit.
Okay.
I see them in a bowl like on top of some soba, and they look pretty slimy like after having been cooked. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so like I guess I could see that. Like, and I mean, yeah. So I don't know. Like the biggest issue with all of these is that they like the imagery that they use when they're describing the experience is like with these little mushrooms that are like barely like a tenth of the size of this dick that they're like, and I'm just like, really, but you know that's not really how it is because
basically when I watched it I went, oh shit, it's fucking lolly mushrooms. They look like fucking children.
They're like cherubim angels or something.
God
like
damn it.
It's I don't know. It's what it is. It's fucked up.
I don't know. I was just kind of like, did you have to? I don't know. It was weird. But
yeah, I mean, like the Namiko mushrooms are kind of small, so it's like, oh, we have to represent them with small little girls that are naked hugging a big mushroom. I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird. But yeah, so then the elf got the shiitake mushrooms, which I thought looked probably the most normal.
Yeah, but they had a lot of goo coming out.
Yeah, I was like, shiitake mushrooms are not gooey at all. So that was like, I call bullshit. I think that was based on, there is a lot of myths about, and actually fact about shiitake mushrooms having like the most vitamins and stuff like that. So maybe that's what that was based on. Mm-hmm. And then the midget, I was kind of unsatisfied with her like idea of what he wanted. She's like, you just want normal. And I'm like, that's just lame. So he gets beach mushrooms. Mm-hmm. And then the weird, like, so Krim gets like this weird spore mushroom because the lady isn't sure what to give him.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very funny that she's like, fuck, I don't know.
I've never had an angel come here before. What do we do?
Yeah. And I actually enjoyed the descriptions of her the most because she's just very reactive. Like she comes a lot. Like he's fucking her and it's like fucking a cloud.
Is that a cum or a
fluffy.
queef?
I don't know. Maybe somewhere in the middle. Although personally I can tell you like they're very different in feeling. It's a very embarrassing moment when you queef. Mm-hmm. It's not embarrassing when you come. But yeah, do mushrooms really spurt like that? Because at the very end of the episode they're like eating a big pot of mushrooms and Krim goes to like pick one and it like splats in his face and I'm like, I'm pretty sure mushrooms don't splat like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know many mushrooms that have like milky fluid inside of them, but I
was like, I feel like that's just bullshit.
Yeah, they just made fun of that because like, oh, you came on her face because that's like the weird side scene they do when they rank stuff. But that mushroom that has like the spores and stuff, they're pretty common here in Indiana. Have you not seen that, Kat?
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you walk through the woods, you can find those little mushrooms that are like that. And they're almost a leather-like texture on the outside. And if you squeeze them, they puff out spores like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I wish I... Keep talking. I'm going to see if I can find this mushroom. Yeah, they're common here.
I'll repeat my joke that I used earlier in the episode that like I was laughing at how the guys were like sort of like confused about whether they just really wanted to eat some mushrooms or they really wanted to fuck some mushrooms. Kind of like Lugosi again from Beastars. Like,
Good God.
should I eat or should I fuck? I don't know.
Mushrooms are very like high in like vitamins and shit. They're very good for you.
I love a pot of like, like mushrooms in like a soup or something. They're really good.
I like a stir fry with mushrooms in it.
Oh
That's
yeah,
really
those
good.
are great too. Like especially like shiitake. Oh, it's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good that way. With some like bamboo in there too. But I love bamboo.
Bamboo shoots. Oh, that's good stuff. What's your favorite kind of mushroom, Kat? Also, did this episode change your mind about that?
Like, what are those little teeny ones? The woodier? I like woodier mushrooms.
Yeah, those are good. I like those.
Yeah, those can be really good.
I don't know if I have a favorite kind. I shouldn't have asked you. I do like portobellos a lot.
They can be fun if you cook them right.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of different types of mushrooms, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
really, you can't go wrong. It's just about how you cook them and if they're fresh,
Listeners, send us pictures of your favorite types of mushrooms and don't send us dick pics. I swear to God. I'll come for you.
If you send us dick pics, I'll just critique it harshly. And you don't want that.
At least put it in the NSFW channel so we can ban you.
I'll just be like, oh no. Like, you don't want that. So
Like, we'll ban you, but I'll also pass the pic along to Kat, so don't worry.
yeah. And I'll like let you know how terrible your dick is. I'm pretty sure you don't want that. So.
All right, Leo, how you doing on the research?
They're literally called puffball mushrooms.
That sounds like someone getting high or something.
Yeah, these are the so you guys can see. Put it in the chat. These are the ones specifically I'm talking about. And yes, if you notice, there are pine trees around them, and that's specifically where you usually find them for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah, but like you can just squeeze them, and they just go, and a big puff cloud of spores comes flying out.
Weird.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, they're
Oh, wow,
Why
I
would
see
you-
the puff.
yeah, you can just literally squeeze them, and it just goes.
That's
I grew up in the woods, so I've always known about them.
That's pretty cool.
oh, it really does puff. Oh shit.
Yeah, it's like a lot of fucking spores coming out.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when they were doing that, I was like, oh, I know which mushroom he's fucking. Yeah, no, it's legit. That's real. And then like I said, it's common here in Indiana, Kat.
Okay.
Yeah, I usually during a certain time of the year, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but
I wonder if you can actually eat those once you get all the fucking spores out of them.
well, like the whole inside is like a sponge that's like been coated in the most amount of dust you've ever seen in your life. Is what it
Okay,
looks
so they're
like.
probably just not edible, really.
If you did, it'd be like eating like dust.
Ugh,
I would say, yeah.
fun.
Well, this guy just like breathed all that shit in. He's probably like growing mushrooms in his stomach right
I don't think they're poisonous. I probably would have poisoned myself.
They can
by
probably
now.
fuck up your lungs just based on like the particles, though.
Oh, if you did enough, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
If you did enough.
Did enough
I mean,
puffs.
anything you put in your lungs that's foreign, I mean, it'll fuck them up if you have enough in there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird to me that you guys are like, "That's a weird mushroom," and I'm like, "What? I grew up seeing these
Listen,
mushrooms. What are you
Leo's
talking
been
about?"
foraging for mushrooms since he was a young child. He knows his mushroom.
I have been mushroom hunting before. It's what are they called? The ones that are around here.
What kind of gun do
Morel?
you take when you go
Like the
mushroom hunting?
morel mushrooms?
Yeah, the morel mushrooms. Yeah,
Yeah, people do go out around here and like go find them.
yeah. During fallish area. Yeah, just cook them. Just pan fry them in some butter. They're pretty darn good that way.
Yeah.
Do you take like a rifle or a shotgun when you're hunting them down?
No, you just take some good eyesight and know where to look.
Not even a spear? Come on, man. Like this.
Sometimes you can find some like massive, huge ones.
It's definitely like a hippie activity. Like only hippies go moral mushroom hunting.
Oh no! People who usually hunt like deer and stuff will go mushroom hunting also.
Really? Because I've only done
So they
it in
do
like
take a rifle or a shotgun.
I've only done it with like groups of hippies who are like, let's go mushroom hunting, man. Let's live off the land.
That's when you go through cow fields and find shrooms under fucking cow patties.
There are a lot of people who are secretly wanting to find shrooms, but like you're not going to find a lot of shrooms.
You're not going to find any in the fucking woods.
No.
That's not how it works.
No one's that lucky. The only people who are growing shrooms in Indiana are people who like want to and went to a lot of fucking trouble and have like a special thing in their house to grow them.
Fantastic.
And you guys have any good shroom stories?
No.
It becomes like, no, I don't fuck with my mind. Cat just stays silent. She was like,
I'm just like,
It's like, oh, I had one, but I can't remember it.
I mean, best way to eat mushrooms is in chocolate.
Oh, yeah. That's actually weird, but that would taste pretty good.
yeah, they just taste like bland dirt. They have
Yeah.
it's not bad, but it's just odd.
I think it tastes a little bit like slightly of poop. You don't really want to taste that.
There's that Japanese candy that's called like kinoko no yama that are like these like chocolate like mushroom shaped things. Well, I think I could like take a screenshot of this, drop it in the chat, which I've had. They're pretty delicious actually. If you ever get a chance to see these or see them in like a Japanese grocer somewhere.
Oh, I've seen those. I've had those. They're good.
Yeah,
those
they're
are
good.
at I have a store here in town called Five and Below, and I saw
they
those
have
in
them
there.
there. That's so.
They had a Japanese aisle. That's
Oh,
the
really?
fucking weirdest thing in the world. They had like ramune and like all kinds of the Pockies, like a bunch of them, like at least 8 or 10 different kinds.
That's
yeah, and I
actually a
saw
lot.
those there also, and I was like, what the fuck? It's like, I can't come in here on payday. This is bad. Buy all this Japanese shit.
Nice. All right, are we done talking about mushrooms? God damn it.
I mean, we could go on for a while, but I think we're
really
done
could.
for now. I think we're good.
All right,
Okay.
Kat, take us out.
All right. Thanks for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. And follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates. Come and hang out on our Discord with the link in the description. And with that, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Peace.